This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It is Tuesday, T-Boy Tuesday, April 8th. And today's pod is the best one yet. This is the T-Boy.
The top 3 pop business news stories you need to know today.
Oh, man, I picked a bad week for this colonoscopy, Jack.
It's Thursday, right?
I know, I think the stock market's getting a colonoscopy right now.
Oh, I hope you don't have to liquidate stocks to pay for it, do you?
I don't have to liquidate stocks, but I feel like the whole stock market system is getting cleaned out, too.
Wasn't Liberation Day.
Yeah.
It was Liquidation Day.
Yeah, if you know, you know. Jack, 3 stories for today's show. What do we got on the T-Boy?
For our first story, with stocks down 17% from their all-time highs, record numbers are asking, should I buy the dip?
So to answer that question, we're going to think of the stock market like a time machine.
For our second story, it's Artipoppe. Artipoppe just unveiled a $3,800 baby carrier.
A baby carrier, because the best status symbols are actually status subtles.
And our third and final story, Land Rover and Jaguar are pausing car shipments to the United States because of the tariffs.
But Ford is doing the opposite. They're giving everyone the old employee discount.
If you need a new car, we'll explain why now is the time.
That's right, a value meal SUV.
But Yetis, before we hit that wonderful mix of stories.
Whoa, fantastic mix of stories for a T-Boy Tuesday check.
Yesterday, we asked you a trivia question.
Yes, we did. What candy originally took 27 hours to make each and every one of them?
Well, the answer is Peeps.
Yeah, it's Peeps. Peeps, the little squishy sugar candy that caused your first cavity.
You haven't had a cavity, though, have you?
I've never had a cavity. I've had a lot of Peeps. Had a lot of Peeps, Jack.
For years, Peeps were actually handmade by a group of old German women in Pennsylvania, Dutch country.
Taking 27 hours to craft each and every one of them.
But here's the wildest part.
Yeah.
Peeps were a secret product only known by the locals.
That's right. Peeps were a secret mystery.
But in the last 75 years, they went from mystery backroom artisan project
into the largest marshmallow manufacturer in the world.
And nothing owns a particular holiday like Peeps owns Easter.
Spring, like they say, Jack. April showers bring Peeps towers.
Odds are, statistically speaking, this is the one month of the year you're going to eat a Peep.
But Jack and I bet you got no idea how the world's biggest little marshmallow actually came to be.
So Yetis, check out the latest episode of our weekly show, The Best Idea Yet.
The untold origin stories of the products you're obsessed with.
We'll tell you all about the secret handmade Peeps factory that was employing only German grandmas.
And how Peeps growth hacked an entire calendar month.
If you've got a relative obsessed with Peeps,
Yeah.
like me, send them our latest episode of The Best Idea Yet.
If you got a buddy, maybe named Timmy, who worships Peeps like some kind of cult at the food altar, send them this episode.
That's right, we published a Peep show.
And we got a link in this episode description. But Jack, today's show is a fantastic T-Boy. Should we hit our 3 stories?
On your colonoscopy eve.
I'm getting cleaned out. Morgan Stanley's getting cleaned out. All right, let's hit our 3 stories.
15 years before this song, 2 boys from the Northeast met in the dorm. They had an idea that caused a cultural storm. It's the best one yet, but the best is the norm. Jack, Nick, that's it. I don't even think they need to practice. 50%, that's a fat tip. T-Boy City on your at-list. If you know, you know, cause we ready to go. We can't wait no more, so just start the show. Start the show.
For our first story, a record number of retail investors are BTD. They're buying the dip.
At the same time, record numbers are selling right now.
They're selling the dip?
So here's how we're looking at this insane stock market.
And it involves a time machine. But Jack, can you please share the Warren Buffett quote that made Warren Buffett Warren Buffett?
It's fantastic investing advice. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful.
Well, right now, others seem to be fearful because stocks have plummeted because of stock selling.
The stock chart right now looks as red as Ron Weasley. Doesn't matter what stock you're looking at.
But according to the data, people are also being greedy right now because there's a whole lot of stock buying.
According to the data, there have been a record number of people snagging up stocks on the market right now like they were on the sale rack.
Get this. According to JP Morgan, regular old retail investors like you and us had our biggest day of buying stocks in over a decade.
Retail investors are non-professional investors, basically anyone with a Robinhood account. And collectively, we bought $4.7 billion of stock on Thursday.
It was the biggest retail stock buying day in over 10 years for your buddy Timmy. That's the way to think about it.
And the reason that's wild is the timing. Because on Thursday, stocks fell 5%. It was right after Trump's big Liberation Day news.
It was like stocks were on the sale rack, snagging a deal. It's like the whole stock market was a cute top at J. Crew, 20% off. Come and get them, people, come and get them.
Or at least that's what retail investors felt when they bought the dip on Thursday.
But so far, we should point out, buying Thursday's dip was a little bit of a mistake.
Because stocks fell another 6% on Friday. And we don't have the data yet, but there were a lot of people who probably tried to buy Friday's dip too.
Well, that was also kind of a little bit of a mistake because
stocks fell Monday as well. So buying the dip has not been working so far.
Yeah, you've been binging on the dip. You may want to lay off the dip for a little bit.
Now, we should sprinkle on some context. We just had the worst stock drop since the pandemic. But how bad has it been, Nick?
Well, Yetis, when stocks drop, Jack and I don't pull out a calculator. We pull out a calendar.
Here are the last 3 stock market crashes and how far they crashed each time.
All right, Jack, whip out that calendar. What are we seeing, man?
The most recent stock market crash was the pandemic. In February and March of 2020, stocks fell 33% from their highest point to their lowest point.
And that was scary.
How about the dot-com bust of 1999? Stocks fell 49% during that period.
That was scarier.
And the 2008 financial crisis and the Great Recession that followed, stocks fell 56% from their highest point to the lowest point.
And that was the scariest.
So historically speaking, Trump's trade war crash is kind of tiny.
We're looking at the numbers from the last week, and from their peak to their trough, stocks have now fallen just 17%. That's like half as much as the other big stock drops.
So if you're buying the dip right now, you don't think Trump's trade war is nearly as bad as the pandemic, the dot-com bust, or the financial crisis.
Yeah, you don't think it's nearly as bad as those previous crashes, like 50% drops.
So maybe you don't think this trade war is in the same category as the pandemic, the dot-com bust, and the financial crisis. If that's what you believe, then maybe this is the bottom. Stocks will go up from here.
Maybe you're not just buying the dip, maybe you're binging the dip right now.
But we've found that timing the market is nearly impossible. It's best to just invest for the long term and stop trying to buy dips.
The amount of times I've called Jack and said, we just bought at the perfect point, and then I was so wrong 2 weeks later.
Instead, Nick and I invest each time we get a paycheck. Regardless of the timing, we put money in the market, and long term it goes up. But a lot of you are probably thinking about selling right now, too.
And for that,
because of all the fear out there,
we have a takeaway. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies who are BTD or STD? You know what? I didn't really think about it, but I said it.
The best way to look at the stock market right now is to get in a time machine.
Yetis, another way to think about this stock market crash, the S&P 500 today is at the same place it was exactly 1 year ago.
Stocks are down 17% from their February all-time highs, but stock levels are at the same point as 1 year ago.
Yeah, and Jack, back in April 2024, when stocks were at the same level they are right now, what were people saying?
We were saying that stocks were looking fantastic.
Because in April 2024, we were celebrating that stocks were at all-time highs.
Now we're back at that same point. But unlike last year, we're not celebrating. Right now, we're all fearful.
But Bessies, this time travel experiment, this shows why we shouldn't panic right now.
Instead, we should zoom out of this week's stock market chaos and see that stocks historically rise.
Yeah, there are drops along the way, but over time, stocks have always risen.
It feels like the stock market is horrible right now, but it's actually just back to where it was in April of 2024.
And that's why the best way to look at the stock market is to get in a time machine. For our second story, one baby brand called Artipoppe just launched a $3,800 baby carrier.
Nick and I crunched the mom math and found out how a baby carrier can be priced like a car.
Now, Yetis, to sprinkle on some context, let's go to one of the great quotes in Bartlett's quotation history. Jack, Mrs. George in Mean Girls.
Wearing a Juicy Couture tracksuit, she said, "I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom."
Boom! Fashion influencers, mommy bloggers, and social media's coolest, richest moms are apparently buying $400 baby carriers.
Artipoppe. It's the Birkin bag of baby carriers. In full disclosure, Nick and I were each gifted one of these on our baby registries when we had our first babies.
Is it a write-off? We never really clarified that, Jack.
We've not written these off.
But we should clarify further that we did not purchase the $800 version of these baby carriers.
The $800 version is made of mulberry silk from a rare mountain range.
That version looks like how a first-class airplane feels.
Artipoppe was was founded by a Dutch mother of 4 in her home country of the Netherlands.
And was acquired a couple years ago by the Bugaboo Baby Group that makes a bunch of baby products.
According to the Wall Street Journal, revenue for this company is up 15% in the past year to $250 million.
Yeah.
Artipoppe is the new push present.
It's what you get when you want your baby's first word to be sustainable luxury.
Now, Nick and I knew that the $400 Artipoppe baby carrier was popular because, like, most moms that we know have one.
You know, if you toss it on the baby registry, someone else has to pay for it.
But we didn't know that they launched a version that's almost $4,000.
We repeat, Artipoppe has a ultra luxury option for their baby carriers at 10 times the price of the base model.
$3,800 for a cashmere baby carrier.
I'm sorry, Jack. That's not the Birkin bag of baby carriers. That's the Lamborghini of baby carriers.
It's the Bugatti of baby carriers.
Yeah. We're talking about a baby carrier, something that you carry your newborn in. They can't even speak yet, and it's the same price as a used car.
So why are they doing this, and how are they doing this?
That's what we got curious about.
Nick and I did the girl math on it, actually the mom math, and here it is.
Yeah.
If you wear this every day for the first 2 years of your baby's life, that comes out to $5 a day.
And if you happen to have 2 kids and use it for both kids, it comes out to $2.50 a day.
That's less than the price of a latte, Nick.
And at that point, you could probably resell it at half the price. And at that point, Jack,
It's only $1.25 per day.
basically paying for itself. But Jack and I got more curious beyond the numbers, and we thought, okay, what's the strategy here behind pricing something 10 times more than the other products you're selling?
We've said before that the direct competition isn't necessarily the correct competition.
And that's when we realized maybe Artipoppe is actually competing with handbags, not other baby carriers.
Because if you're a mom with a newborn, your baby carrier is your primary accessory now.
Your baby carrier has essentially replaced your Coach bag.
So Artipoppe isn't pricing in competition with the Ergo baby carrier, which is much more affordably priced.
No, Artipoppe is actually pricing itself to compete with an Hermes handbag.
The direct competition isn't necessarily the correct competition.
Which leads to our takeaway. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Artipoppe Baby Carriers?
The best status symbols are status subtles.
Status subtles. Yetis, this was the wildest part of this $3,800 baby carrier drama. This new baby carrier looks no different than all its other baby carriers.
The only difference between the $400 version and the $4,000 version is the materials.
So, like, if you're using the $400 Artipoppe baby carrier,
Like Nick and I are.
like, it looks exactly like the $4,000 Artipoppe baby carrier. That's 10 times the price.
You'll only notice the difference if you can tell the difference between cotton and linen on one hand and cashmere on the other hand.
And that gives customers an incentive to buy either one of the versions, both the cheaper one and the more expensive one.
If you buy the cheaper one, you may hope that someone mistakes it for the expensive one.
Or if you buy the expensive one, those who know, they will know. And that makes you feel good and is maybe worth the price.
Even if Artipoppe only sells one of these ludicrously expensive $4,000 baby carriers, that has lifted the whole brand.
Because right now, the best status symbols are actually status subtles. Hey Yetis, if you're a bestie, take a sec and hit that subscribe button.
And like this video while you're at it. If you leave a comment, by the way, we'll read it.
For our third and final story, Ford is now offering employee pricing for all. That's right, Ford just launched the first ever trade war discount.
But trade war inflation is different than pandemic inflation. We'll see it in cars, not crackers.
All right, Jack. The first place we're going to notice tariffs, where's it going to be exactly?
Not the gas station, grocery store, or bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich.
No. It's going to be at the car dealerships.
Because any car not made in the United States will have to pay a 25% tariff the moment it crosses the border into the U.S.
The result, get this, new car prices are going to rise an estimated $4,000 to $12,000 per car, according to Motor Trend magazine.
That is a huge increase in price.
Oh, and by the way, it isn't even just cars not made in America. Cars made in America, yeah, they're going to have to pay tariffs too.
Because parts in those American-made cars come from all over the world.
Jack, what did Land Rover and Jaguar do as a result of all this?
They stopped shipping cars to the United States.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the tariffs would mess so badly with their business.
That's right. Those British brands, they're not even, you can't even get a fresh new Range Rover right now if you want a freshie.
Meanwhile, Stellantis is idling their factories in Mexico and Canada until they figure out what to do.
So add it all up, Yetis, and that led to the shocking last week headline straight out of Ford.
Ford isn't raising prices, which would make sense because of tariffs. They're actually cutting prices.
Ford is cutting they're doing a discount double check? What is Ford doing, Jack?
Ford is offering employee discount for all, and they're branding it red, white, and blue.
From America, for America, employee pricing for all.
Now, this shocked Nick and me because we know Ford isn't UNICEF.
Yeah, to sprinkle out some context here, Ford isn't in the charity business, are they, up in Detroit, Jack?
They're a profit-maximizing company.
Yes, they are.
So we found the real reason they're offering employee pricing for all.
Interestingly, the main reason Ford is doing the first trade war discount is because you're afraid.
People are afraid.
Yeah, you're afraid.
Last month, consumer confidence hit the lowest level since the pandemic.
That's right. And after Trump's Liberation Day, consumers are hiding in the basement right now.
And that's a problem for Ford.
Yeah, it is.
Because people don't buy cars when they're economically worried.
Yetis, let this sink in for a sec. You're not putting a big bow on a Lexus for Mother's Day if your 401k is freaking out.
During economic downturns, the first financial decision is to delay a big ticket item like a car.
You don't walk out of your therapy session and then walk into a Jeep dealership. It doesn't work that way.
So Ford isn't offering everyone employee discounting to be patriotic.
No. Why are they actually doing it, Jack?
Ford is doing it to clear out their inventory ahead of what could be a brutal downturn.
Oh, and you know what? Ford's not the only one thinking this way, because their buddies over at Jeep, Dodge, and Chrysler, owned by Stellantis, are doing employee pricing as well.
So if you're looking to buy a new car, they might actually be lower priced right now, temporarily, before the tariffs kick in and the price really goes up.
So I got to pause the pod for a sec. Jack, are you saying to buy the car dip?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying right now?
There is a car dip right now. Yeah. Very temporarily. Only from a couple companies.
That's not investing advice. That's just math advice right there. Yeah, these car companies, they want some positive PR and they want to empty out their dealer lots.
And they want to do all that because of our takeaway.
So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at the Discount Ford?
This time, inflation will hit garages worse than groceries.
Yetis, trigger warning for all those who hate inflation. Yeah, we're going back to 2022's hot inflation summer.
Back then, we experienced shrinkflation, swapflation, and sneakflation. Basically, a bunch of ways that companies gave us less but then charged us more.
And they could get away with all that because we were flush with pandemic savings and stimmy checks. Some people called it greedflation as a result.
But this time, we're not flush with pandemic savings and stimulus checks. And price hikes, they'll be caused by tariffs on stuff made abroad.
And what kind of stuff is made abroad, Jack?
Cars, grills, sporting equipment, patio furniture, yard toys for the kids to play in the backyard.
And mattresses. That's the stuff we are overwhelmingly buy from overseas, or stuff that requires overseas parts.
So if this trade war is sustained, which Trump has signaled it will, it won't be worse in the grocery store.
Besties, these tariffs, they're going to raise prices on everything, but especially the stuff in your garage. Yeah, could you whip up the takeaways for us for T-Boy Tuesday?
Bullish retail investors are buying the stock market dip. Fearful investors are thinking of selling.
And the best way to look at the stock market? Like a time machine. We're just at the same place we were 1 year ago.
For our second story, Artipoppe is a popular baby carrier, but they're also selling a version that's 10 times more expensive.
Because the best status symbols are status subtles.
And our third and final story, Ford is offering employee discounts for all. It's good patriotic PR before the trade war kicks in.
Because this time, inflation will hit garages worse than groceries. And Yetis, if you've got a takeaway on our takeaways, drop a comment in the comments on YouTube and Spotify.
But Yetis, this pod's not over yet. Here's what else you need to know today.
First, Apple stock sank a third day in a row. The reason? Trump threatened an additional 50% tariffs on the country of China.
For those keeping track, that would be a retaliatory tariff to China's retaliatory tariffs, which were retaliatory to Trump's original retaliatory tariffs for China's original tariffs. This is a tariff war spiraling out of control.
While Trump and Xi are playing tariff chicken, Apple's iPhone is caught in the crossfires.
Second, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon published his annual shareholder letter yesterday, and it was the longest one yet.
It's 58 pages. This is not a letter, it's a novel.
Now, we didn't cover it as a full story in today's episode because there wasn't that much bold new information in it.
But Jamie did have one big quote, and he said that the trade war could be the big straw that breaks the camel's back and cause a recession.
And finally, we hope your calendar is free this week because there's a whole bunch of major world events happening.
Okay, we had March Madness. The UConn women won it all on Sunday, and the men's final was last night.
The Masters golf tournament begins this Thursday in Augusta, Georgia.
And Coachella begins on Friday in California.
Also on Thursday is Nick's colonoscopy.
It is my colonoscopy. The liquidation event of the year. Now, time for the best fact yet. This one sent in by Jason Geiger from Buffalo Bills, New York, about the Saratoga Springs water, the viral water we covered 2 weeks ago on the pod.
Guy from Buffalo here with the crunchiest fact yet. Saratoga Springs isn't just famous for its fancy water. Legend says back in 1853 at Moon's Lake House, tycoon Cornelius Vanderbilt kept complaining his potatoes were too thick. In protest, frustrated chef George Crumb decided to slice them taters paper thin and fry them to a crisp. Vanderbilt ended up loving them, and potato chips were born.
Really?
And that's how we got the potato chip.
In Saratoga Springs, New York?
Saratoga Springs water is responsible for the potato chips we all love and know today.
That's incredible.
There is nothing Cornelius Vanderbilt would be more proud of than Saratoga water now being used at 4 a.m. for an influencer's wake-up routine, Jack. Yetis, you look fantastic today. Jack, you are looking fantastic as well. And remember, the best thing you can do right now is to go and check out The Best Idea Yet.
We just dropped a new episode on Peeps, which is huge because
Yes.
this is Peeps' month.
Buy the Peeps dip. Jack and I will see you there. We got a link in the episode description.
And Nick and I will see you tomorrow.
Can't wait. And before we go, a happy second birthday to Yeti Baz Flageolet, celebrating the big two down in the Presidio of San Francisco.
Happy birthday to Rachel Steigerwald in Seattle, who asked a question at our Seattle live show.
And Elise and Amato Villarreal in Napa, California are parents with the same birthday, which is today.
That is wild.
No one can never know, guys.
Oh, by the way, if you're hungry today but have no money, Ben & Jerry's is giving out free ice cream cones all day.
Okay, free cone day. Jack, legendary annual event, your go-to for the free cone. What do you do?
Milk and cookies. Underrated flavor, best they have.
Mine is anything with cookie dough. Forget the cone, put it in a cup, get extra hot fudge, and that's really all you need to eat is the hot fudge.
By the way, we have a whole episode on the Ben & Jerry's fish food flavor, so check that out on The Best Idea Yet.
Go check out The Best Idea Yet, and Jack and I will see you there.
This is Jack. I own stock of Ford. Nick and I both own stock of Apple and Robinhood, and we both own ETFs of the S&P 500.